Welcome everybody to our April meeting. And it's good to see everybody here today. So the first item on the agenda that requires action is approval of our agenda. Does anyone have any additions or amendments they'd like to make? We're good. Okay. So can I have a motion to approve today's meeting's agenda?
Anya?
I was just thinking how much they miss this team. I move that we accept the minutes as whatever.
I second.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from our last meeting in March?
Yes.
Any
I
corrections
did
or
when
anything?
they came. I have no idea I don't remember them.
So nothing struck you as out of order then, okay? I guess. All right. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the March meeting?
I move that we approve the minutes of the March meeting.
And do we have a
And I-
second?
I
Okay.
second.
We have our team. All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
Okay.
raising my hand.
Okay, great. All right. Open time for public expression.
Yes, I'll give some. Bill Hale. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let's see, I think each branch needs its own email address. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of people there. You may have the individual staff's emails and so on, but they may not be in that day and you don't know. So I think the communication between the local users, the branch users could be better facilitated by if the branch had a email that was monitored by the staff that were there that day. Next item here is audio books. I was hearing over in MarinNet that portion of has been growing leaps and bounds during COVID, and I'm just wondering if the purchasing has been keeping up, with the change. Because many times I saw a check in now for I'm an audiobook listener with Overdrive, and they're just not available that early on, and there's no way to even reserve them. Some library systems allow you to reserve them. I ask you to consider that if you can't get the books any faster from the publishers, if that's what's because otherwise, unless you save the interest yourself, you're gonna lose interest in tracking down your interest in that particular item. On the Overdrive audio books, rarely do the PDFs that are published with the books come with them. I know this is an issue I'll take over to MarinNet, but just be aware of that and patron comments about that. They may not be aware of it. The only way you become aware of it, unless you know beforehand, is listening to it, that the narrator may mention that. Another item, summary books. At Amazon, I'm noticing, I don't know anything about summary books. I've talked to a few reference librarians. They haven't known what I'm talking about. And I noticed that some of the very popular books out there will have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or more summary books put out on the book. Do we get any of those? Or maybe we can have a blurb sheet that tells us at least what those are and what's going on with it. It's like music copies. I guess you have the right to cover somebody's stuff. You have to give them a piece of the action, and that's how it goes. I'm assuming that's what's going on, but it seems to be an unknown topic. So maybe the system in Leaves or something else could put out some information about the summary books. The fact that you couldn't turn the recording on for me, it's okay. I'll just get a copy from you guys seeing that you're recording. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Bill, that's a lot of input.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I
Didn't have
like
much
the idea. Huh? Yeah.
Didn't have much time.
Yeah, well, you did it.
The idea about the individual email for each library staff, is that, I'm sure there's a reason why we don't do that. Isn't there? Hello?
Crickets.
I heard you.
Yeah.
Oh.
You want me to chime in, Lana?
Ramona probably knows the details on this the best. Yeah, go ahead, Ramona.
I don't know if I know them the best, but I'll give it a good shot. I think that the communication has been centralized in the eBranch, emails, and so that goes to, Chantel could speak to this. That goes to one location, therefore, one inbox, and then emails are forwarded to branches from there. But I think if I'm, hearing Mr. Hale correctly, it sounds like he's really focused on building the relationship and like that relationship between, patrons in each community and their local library, which is really important. So I think that that's a great recommendation. And, I'm flexible and open. And so I think if that's the recommendation and, we have our director's support and approval, we can make it happen.
Let me ask a question. Do you, I'm leaning towards, would that be too many emails coming into a particular branch? And so then I go back to the question of how many emails do you get that get forwarded to a branch?
I think there are about 20 emails most days, not on weekends in the same way that come in, but there's a variety of content. Some of it is how do I access X, Y, and Z in e-services. Some of it during COVID was a little more focused on reserving or book requests and things like that. Some of them are things that people do like. Some of them are things that people don't like. Most of it is system-wide. We do have the e-branch services, we have an info, and then we have a library director system-wide, all system-wide emails. We have not yet created external branch emails, but it does sound like a good idea.
Do other library systems have emails directly to each branch? Do you know?
They do. It really depends on the
some
library system.
Pardon me?
It really depends on the library system. I mean, part of the reason why we've kept it pretty simple for commissioners and Mr. Hale is that we have a really good response rate with that central email so that we can route things quickly and keep it simple for patrons. So library@marincounty.org rather than a complicated branch names, but we can definitely take this consideration.
Bill had a lot of questions. Bill, what's the second most important one?
That's why I mentioned was audiobooks. Just since they're growing to be such a larger portion than what they were before COVID. I'm just wondering if the purchasing is keeping up in that same kind of ratio or proportion.
That's a problem we know about. Go ahead, staff. That's you've instructed us on the cost of that, of the availability. But anyway, I can't remember.
So, Mr. Hale, I'm happy to address that. I'm the new library director, Lana Adlowen. It's nice to meet you. We have been talking with the commission, and we heard a lot of that same feedback through our community survey that we completed. So, just the desire for more e-materials, and this is something that MarinNet is discussing. Countywide, how do we meet this need within our budget? So, we are looking at increasing our MCFL's materials budget for next year. And other library systems are looking the same, but we definitely hear that need clear and loud and clear, and I'm trying to find a way to meet that demand.
So it's a budget issue. It's a money issue.
It's a budget allocation, and an increase in library budgets. I mean, those. I discussed it in my presentation to the Board of Supervisors on March 23rd, but purchasing is different for e-materials versus print materials. There's different costs associated with that, the lifetime of the longevity and lifetime of the item. So libraries, across the US are struggling with ways to meet that demand. We want to. It's convenient. It's a new way of doing things, but it's a different funding strategy.
Lana, just out of curiosity, if you were to buy a copy of a book, what is the rough, ratio of just the hard copy versus an e-copy? What's the pricing differential? I think we talked about this, but remind us.
Yeah, so print book, if I'm holding it in my hand, it's, something like $25 on average. And we hold that item until it falls apart. And we know that, we have some of those items on our shelves for a really, really long time, depending on how popular they are. So an e-item can be different depending on the structure of the item. It can be maybe a little bit less than that $25 original fee, but we might only have that item for 1 year.
Oh,
so there are
kind of a
limits.
licensing thing. Then
it's a licensing issue, and publishers are very creative at how to keep their industry going, while supporting the need in libraries. So that's the difference that I'm talking about in publishing, or sort of library budget power, and how that translates to collections, longevity of items, and trying to meet the need of popular materials with some of those restrictions from the publishers present.
Yeah, those costs could add up pretty quickly, for sure. Right.
Well, Bill Hale, Mr. Hale, There's a couple responses, and the money thing is, I knew was an issue. I forgot about the licensing. I remember that also. But anyway, I guess we could say we're hoping to get more audiobooks. We may not get them for any more than a year because that seems to be standard practice. But I guess we could get more. Always get more.
We have benefited this year from some programs from the state library, as well as around ebooks and electronic materials. And as well as our director mentioned, we're looking at budget expansion and budget allocation as feasible.
Is there more demand for audiobooks or ebooks?
Audiobook and print digital book demand went up at about a 3 times faster rate than expected during the pandemic. And it's not increasing as steeply as it was before. It's not increasing at as quick a rate, but it has not dropped to pre-pandemic levels.
Great.
So it's here to stay, meaning net, it's here to stay.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Diana, thank you for sending the reading and correspondence file so we can all take a look at that on our computers. All right, President's report for March, a couple things. The Measure A, we're still hoping it's going to be called Measure A. Library committee is still working away. We'll be getting back to you again with more information, but we've gotten some nice contributions from some different friends groups to help cover the expenses, which is wonderful. And I was wondering if there were some of you here that would like to be on an ad hoc committee to work with the Measure A folks as we get closer to the election, to talk about, getting messaging out there, materials out there, and, whatever the needs are as we get closer to November, if there's any of you that would be willing to help out with that.
I would.
Great.
That's
And
important.
anybody want to think about it between now and then, we've got time, but we've got a nice little group put together, and we've got Ginny Schultz, who's the head of the foundation, and myself and Lana and Chantel, and then the folks from the research people and the political experts and all that. But it would be nice to have a few more voices to get involved, because there's going to be some rolling up our sleeves and some work to do to make sure we get this thing passed.
Is somebody going to lay out the list of things that you want people to do, the foot people?
Yeah, we will do that. I think as we get closer on, we will talk about what needs to be done and how we can divide and conquer, so to speak.
Okay.
But yeah, anybody who would like to help out with that would be terrific.
And so to clarify, I saw John did a thumbs up. Does that mean yes, John? Yes.
Does that mean yes? All right.
And then so we have Anne and John and Nick. I'm hearing questions, but is that a yes?
Is that a yes?
Oh, because we asked a question?
Are you saying yes? That's what my question is.
I will definitely help. I just want to know what we're supposed to do.
Excellent.
I'm selective.
We'll find you something to do.
Did we miss anybody else? So we have Nick, Anne, and John so far.
Nick, I'd be happy to tell you what to do.
I think
I can only imagine.
All right,
Public
thank
comment,
you.
please.
I'm leaving now.
Right.
Public comment
That's
on this?
terrific. Thank you very much.
Public comment. on
President
this.
Ream, we have a public comment.
Okay.
I don't believe it. I believe that you can put anybody on ad hoc committees.
What?
I think you can put anybody on ad hoc committees.
Mhm.
So you can go back and get retired people. You can reach further afield if you need to get more people. I think you might look into that.
Okay. We can use all the help we can get. We'll take anybody who wants to help. It's great. Anybody else on this subject? Okay.
No, you should just at the right time, just put out a list for all of us.
Sure.
And let people pick and choose and figure out what they want to do. If and what.
Great. We will do so. All right. The Measure A Parks Library Pass, I just want to say that program will be is up and going, and it's getting to be spring, and I'm supposing we're starting to get some good checkouts on that. Do we have any updates on where we are standing on folks checking out those park passes at this point? Anybody have any numbers on that?
Well, we have some exciting new news. We just got, or we're going to be getting 38, I think, additional total passes from the California State Library. So there was, you probably have seen in your email, or come across social media that's been promoting the program. So libraries across California have received this support. At MCFL, we're still working on getting the packaging for the passes out, but those passes should be out circulating momentarily, but it is an exciting initiative for all California libraries. So we'll have, in short, we'll have more passes, and the passes, I think, are well used across the branches, but we seem to have, they are in demand, but we seem to still have passes available for folks to use.
Great. Good. That's good news. Okay.
And could I add just the plug, since I know we have some new commissioners, that the Park Plus program was a pilot program that was an equity initiative at MCFL that's now being adopted statewide. So I think that that's just an example of innovation and creativity. And I just wanted to make sure the new commissioners were aware.
Great. It's a terrific program. It really is. It's great. Okay, so moving on to old business. Actually, I don't have any old business, but I do have some new business. I want to bring up a possibility of putting together an ad hoc committee to review our bylaws. There's probably a couple of things that we need to address in there. One of which was we talked, I guess, last month about bringing on younger people to be on the board. There were some board membership issues, and there's a couple of other things we probably need to look over and just tighten up a little bit. So is there anybody that would be willing to like to try to get that done probably by the end of August, if at all possible? So can I have one or two volunteers to help take a look at that? I'm asking for a lot of volunteers today, aren't I?
I sat on exactly that for the Museum of Fine Arts, and it was the worst 3 months of my life. I mean, it was a lot of work. Now, I think you're mentioning 2 or 3 areas. I mean, how extensive is this requirement?
Well, I think we just probably need to look over them and make sure that everything is up to date where it should be. I don't think it's going to really be that onerous of a project at this point. Lana, do you agree?
I agree. No, not 3 months. It's going to be mild edits. I mean, this is a chance for, I think, the group to weigh in if there was anything that you wanted to change in the structure. And, I welcome, new commissioners if they wanted to take part in this endeavor. But, library staff can offer myself, to do the heavy lifting and the language changes and things like that. We just need your buy-in and approval to bring this forward.
All right. I'll McLeod and I will volunteer.
Okay. And I will work on that too. So I think the thought is if we could get this done by the end of summer, then we could probably bring it forward at the September meeting then.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's all I have in terms of new business. And now we're going to have some reports from library staff. So I'm going to turn it over to you all.
Sue, can we do a quick round of introductions? I think we have some new staff. So I don't think Madeline or Natalie have joined the commission meeting before, right? Just quick shake.
Yeah.
Okay. So a quick round of introduce yourselves. And Sue, maybe you want to lead the process, but that'd be great.
Okay. Sue Reen, currently serving as president, and I serve District 2, which is basically the Ross Valley.
I'll call. So Anne.
Oh, Anne Kaplan, and I represent the 3rd District, and I've been on the commission for, can't even remember how many years, but it's a wonderful group of people. So
As long as me.
Welcome.
Oh, well, okay. Nick Javaris, 4th District, our renowned Dennis Rodoni's district. And I've been on about 7 or 8 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And have enjoyed every minute of it.
Linda, one of our
Especially
travelers.
Anya.
Yeah, Linda Ward, District 1, which is San Rafael, parts of San Rafael, I guess. Yeah, I've been on, I don't know,
Wow.
4 years, 5 years-ish.
Yeah.
Something like
I don't.
that. Okay, I'll go next. Sally Hauser, also District 1, and I've been on about as long as Linda. I think that's between 4 and 6 years.
Okay.
I'm Marge Catherine. I'm also District 1.
Whoa.
And I also can't remember. I think this is my third term. And are they 2-year terms?
You and I are about the same, I think.
Yeah.
Daniel Sherman. I'm District 2, and this is my first year.
That's easy.
Nice room.
Patricia?
I'm Anya Chandler, also Patricia on my driver's license. I'm not getting Nick's picture, so I might just leave.
Oh, God. Okay.
And I don't know why I'm not getting it. Or is
Yeah.
Allie here?
No.
Okay, I'm not getting his.
I'll leave-
Oh,
I'll leave.
there you are, Nick.
I am. I'm here.
Oh, cool.
He's in his
I'm
car.
the lone District 5 Novato representative. I think I've been on the commission for maybe 5 or 6 years. And Lana, I'll email you about Measure A. I have some thoughts about it.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Oh, great.
So did you all get to hear enough about me? Because I have more. I'm in District 2, and I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to do anything to serve the library, because I love the library so much, not only for myself, but for all the patrons that I see there and all the people that I talk to, that in some way or another just say, well, I'm going to the library, or I'm expecting that to come. And it seems to be in District 2 a real, it makes a real statement in the community. And I've been on it for as long as Linda. Maybe a week longer.
Which nobody knows.
And I think, John, you're the last one, baby.
Okay. Save the best for last, huh, Nick? So I'm John McCall. This is my second term. I'm sitting in front of a shot from our VR experience that we did with students sponsored by the library from last summer. That's the Marin Shipyards. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Chantel. We were both speakers at the Library 2.0 conference last month, and we'll be presenting at ALA in June, the project that we did here in Marin County. So this is scaling nationally, and it's all started right here in Marin.
Great. No wonder I'm so proud.
I just went to that Marin Shipyards exhibit. That is absolutely terrific. That was really, I enjoyed every minute of that.
It's a
Congratulations.
great history, great history.
Yeah, great history. Really, it is. Fantastic.
Thanks so much for the introductions, everyone. And staff, do you also want to, Madeline, Natalie, and Diana, before your presentation starts?
We've built it in.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. We're ready to go when you are.
Okay, let me, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let me see if I can do that. Okay. All right, can you all see my screen?
How come the men things don't say him, he? Never mind.
They could.
They could.
Yeah, you could edit it to say.
I mean, come on, you know, we
he,
need
him.
equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
You could
Go for it.
rename yourself.
Okay.
Like they.
They.
All right, are we ready?
We are.
Okay.
So hi, everyone. It's good to see all of you. I'm kind of going to get us, the three of us started. So Diana, Madeline, and I'm Natalie. Hi. We're all a pretty new group, the three of us together. I started at South Novato as the manager here in October. Madeline started in West Marin in December. And I think the three of us started meeting as a group maybe January or February. So we're still kind of in that phase of getting to know each other. We're really excited to work together. We can tell we're gelling really well. We're sort of in that mode of like kind of wrapping up things from the previous folks and starting to imagine where we'll go in the future. We're going to start our presentation just by introducing ourselves to all of you. So I'm going to start. My name's Natalie. Actually, I grew up in Marin in Sausalito, and I was always a library kid. I remember the library being my home away from home. And I just found, I actually have this picture of myself There, if you can see my excited face, that's how excited I was to be at the library.
Where?
This is the Sausalito Library.
But where is the excited face?
Oh, sorry, it's not on our slides, it's on my phone in my little Zoom box, if you can see it.
Okay.
You're not on my Zoom box right now.
I'll try to find a way to share it. But that library was my kind of my second home. And I know the schools in Marin very well. I won't get into why I went to so many, but I went to St. Hilary's in Tiburon. I went to what was the Bayside MLK school, as the Sausalito Marin City School District. I also went to the Hamlin School for Girls, which is actually in San Francisco. And then just one high school I went to, Marin Academy in San Rafael. So I know all your districts pretty well. And my sister went to Tam High. So I kind of know a bit of everything. So if anybody ever wants an opinion on Marin County schools or libraries, I'm your girl.
But you weren't asked to leave. You voluntarily kept changing schools.
Yeah, there was always a good reason.
Tell me one of them.
Well, and I know I have a lot of love for the Sausalito Marin City School District. When I was going there, unfortunately, it wasn't the best school academically, so that's why I ended up switching to the Hamlin School, which was also an all-girls school, which I'm also a proponent of girls' education, but that's a whole other talk. But that was another reason to go there. And I did actually in high school, I taught at Marin Country Day School, so I know that school well as well. My first library job actually was at the Sausalito Public Library, because when I was in library school, I emailed Mary Richardson, who was the director at the time, and said, do you remember me? I was always in the library, and she did. So I got my first internship and later my first job at that library. Since then, I have worked in libraries all around Marin and the East Bay. For a couple of years, I was the manager of the Albany Library in the East Bay. And my last job, I was at Mill Valley for the past 3 years as the head of youth services there. And that was a really excellent library where I feel like I learned a lot that I'm excited to bring to South Novato. And I'm really excited to be back here. I live in Novato, so this is my community. I'm excited to be in this library again, and we're building a great staff. And then Madeline's going to introduce herself next.
Thank you, Natalie. And I'm so excited to be working with Natalie and Diana as a team. So I'm Madeline Bryant. I am the West Marin branch manager. And so that means I manage the Point Reyes branch, where I am stationed most days, including right now, but also the Inverness Library, the Bolinas Library, and Stinson Beach. I'm a recent transplant to Northern California, although I did most of my growing up in California. But for the past 24 years, I was a librarian with Los Angeles Public Library, always in youth services, and most recently as the youth services coordinator there. I'm thrilled to be joining the MCFL team. As Natalie mentioned, I started in December. I am loving it. This is really a dream location, dream job for me. So happy to be here and happy to be part of the team. And I'll hand it over to Diana.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Diana Lopez. I'm the branch manager and education initiatives coordinator at Marin City Library. In addition to managing the branch, my amazing team and I also manage the 2 school libraries in the Sausalito Marin City School District. I'm actually also originally from Southern California, born and raised. Prior to moving up here 8.5 years ago for this job, I ran a middle school library, I worked in a public library, and a high school library, and a community college library for 8 years at Pasadena City College Library before I came up here.
Great, what a team.
No kidding.
Very impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot of experience and area experience.
We've got a great meld, I think, of similar passions but different experiences, which I think will be fun and fruitful for us all to explore. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our literacy education equity programs. Probably a lot of you know more than me and Madeline, since you've been around for so many years and we're so new. But we're really excited to kind of take what these programs they've been like wonderful already, but to take them to even like the next level. So at South Novato, we've been focusing on reading buddies. It's a program that strangely enough became more successful during the pandemic than before. I think the transition from in-person to virtual increased access for a lot of families. So the attendance has like quadrupled. Pre-pandemic, it was maybe kind of an average of 5-6 kids a time, and now we're averaging like 30. And something we're focusing on is the increased access has been great, but some families have struggled with technology, either with maybe spotty connections at home, or issues like kind of understanding how to use Zoom. So one thing we're building is we're going to launch a Chromebook and hotspot program in the fall, so that families who need that technology can have it for the duration of the program. So say for the, the whole semester they're signed up, they can use that tech at home. And then also Hector Garcia, who's our Spanish services community library specialist. He started in September and has really made this program his own. He's built in kind of pre-instruction for families on how to use Zoom, we started using Remind, which is a text app reminder to remind families. So kind of just building in like the whole family to that process. And then West Marin has been doing reading buddies as well. The returning Dominican students meant that they were able to have continuity between the fall and winter, spring. And then next fall, they have plans for a hybrid program. And then Marin City has an amazing program for K-1, the Smarty Ants program. I was really impressed to see their stats. Let me see. So out of the about 45 students that they see after school, there's been an 80% increase in literacy skills. And that's at the Sausalito and Marin City School District, Nevada campus. So I think we're all really excited to kind of see these programs where they've been. And then I think for me and Madeline, the fall is when kind of us and our staffs will really kind of be able to put our stamp on them and see where they can go.
You, Natalie. So one thing, when I started, I jumped right on into some grants that were wrapping up, and I think you heard about them at the last meeting, but I'd like to refresh. We had a celebration in March at many locations, and a celebration on many levels. Not only did these play and learn events happen, but they really signaled a return to in-person programming. Things were opening up again. They were a culmination of months of hard work and planning on both the Explore Story and Little Learners grants. Many kudos to Alejandra Cruz and Alex Parada for coordinating the events, and to Sarah Baldock for managing the teen web stars and their participation and contribution to the events. As you can see in these photos, library joy was clearly evident at the 3 hosting locations, the South Novato, Marin City, and Point Reyes libraries. These were indoor-outdoor events that featured the learning bus, plus engaging book-based activities that were designed and facilitated by the web stars themselves. In addition, there was music, there was dance, there was imaginative play, there were giant bubbles that drew people to the library and curiosity, and which created an atmosphere that was really both festive and fun. And of course, there were free bilingual books for all in attendance. In addition, we invited and welcomed folks into our newly enhanced children's areas, which feature all sorts of manipulatives and imaginative educational toys, ranging from, more high-tech, fancy kind of light up tables to the most basic of baby dolls and building blocks, which are incredibly popular. These fresh spaces promote early learning and encourage parent and caregiver engagement, which you can see in these photos. And I will attest, as someone whose office looks out on this community room space, it is heavily used. And the 3 of us were chatting before the presentation. These spaces have really transformed our libraries. Parents and caregivers are staying longer. I think they are visiting more frequently, and they're meeting and engaging with one another. I've literally seen families stay for a couple of hours, and families who didn't know each other prior to being here in the library. So community connections are being made in these spaces. It is a joy to see. And also on the days of the events, that was like an official opportunity for us to engage in community chats, where staff sought input from the families on what they would like to see in their libraries and their communities. This was sort of conversational, but also in the form of like Post-it notes and surveys. But it was really a chance for families to tell us what they wanted to see in the future of their libraries. And several of the families that I interacted with indicated that it was their very first time visiting with their children that day, which was also true joy to see.
Thank you, Madeline. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our school partnerships. So for South Novato, they are doing issuing library cards to kids. They're visiting classes and doing library cards now. And then they're doing daily after school programs. They have teens as web stars and just hired more web stars. Looking ahead, they're going to be creating library cards for all Novato Unified School District students in the fall. That's about 7,500 students, so that's a lot. And then they're working on planning an engagement strategy. For West Marin, they're renewing their contract with Nicasio. They're doing visits to the school, collection development, and weeding in the school library. For Shoreline, they're planning outreach before summer, regular visits to the summer camp that will take place on the actual campus. And then they're working with Belina Stinson School to get all students library cards. For Marin City, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the reunification. So this academic year is our first year being on the two campuses. Prior to the reunification, we were on the one campus in Marin City, but now it's one school, two campuses. So the Nevada campus on Nevada Street in Sausalito is where the former Willow Creek campus was. So we have K through 5th on that campus. We do class visits with read alouds, and the kids come in and check out books. Those happen on a weekly basis. We're really happy to be collaborating with the Sausalito Public Library. Their recently hired children's and youth librarian has been working with us once a week at the Nevada campus. So they help us with after school programming, collection development. I'm really pleased to say that both the Marin City Library Friends and the Sausalito Library Friends have been incredibly generous with regard to purchasing materials for the school libraries. We have, as I mentioned, after school STEAM activities. We also do Read to a Dog after school on the Nevada campus. And as you heard earlier, we have our Smarty Ants program. On the Phillips Drive campus in Marin City, we have TK and then the middle school. So that's 6th through 8th grade, plus Horizon Community School, local preschool is on the campus now. So we have class visits from all of those kids. So we went from serving roughly about 120 kids to, like 400 plus kids. So it's been quite a year. Throughout the last couple of years, we've been doing Marin City Live, and these are children's authors who visit via Zoom. We stream into the classrooms, and we had a very generous donor who bought copies of the books for the kids in the classroom. So we'd stream to the classes, but the events were also open to the public. So looking ahead for Marin City, we'll be doing our yearly summer wraparound programs with our community partners. We call it Summer Jam. So we'll have little readers with Bridge the Gap in the mornings at the branch, and STEAM activities in the afternoon with Play Marin. We'll be staffing the Phillips campus library because the Hannah Project will have Freedom School on that campus. In the fall, in collaboration with Sausalito Library, we'll be doing library cards for all kids in our school district. So we'll continue that collaboration. We're working on a racial justice program with accompanying books for the fall. And Etienne is working with community partners and the school district on a possible makerspace in Marin City.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've all got some staffing news, but first I just wanted to give kudos to Lana and Ramona. They're the ones that spoke to the NUSD superintendent and arranged the library cards for all kids next year. So we're really excited about that. So for South Novato, I think we're a pretty cool situation because we're almost all new here. I think Sarah Baldock at the Makerspace is the library staff who's been around the longest, I think maybe 5-6 years. I'm not sure, accounting for, COVID time. But for library staff, our library assistant one, Kat Dietrich, has been here the longest, which is about a little over 2 years. She started literally during lockdown. But the rest of us are all pretty new. I started in October, like I told you. Hector Garcia, our Spanish services community library specialist, started in September. And we have a lot of really new hires. About a month ago, Rashida Scar, who was formerly working at the Fairfax Library, came over to South Novato as our new youth services librarian. She has a lot of amazing experience with working with middle schoolers, but also doing programming and outreach for all ages. If you're familiar with the Demystifying Affordable Housing program, she was working on that with Serge Marin. And we just had a library assistant to Eugenio Geiken start last week, actually. He has experience in public libraries, but also in bookstores. He has a ton of experience. He just came from Books Inc., where he managed a lot of the book fairs at school. So he also has a lot of experience, doing huge events on school campuses. So we're starting to have a lot of exciting ideas of what we can do with everyone's kind of various experience. We're hoping to do lots of, maybe book festival type events, more school outreach, more, library card engagement. So we have a lot to look forward to.
Natalie, so for West Marin, in addition to me being one of the newest, but not the newest anymore, we have a new community library specialist, Alex Parada, who just started a few weeks ago at the Inverness Library, half-time. Alex is no stranger to Inverness. She grew up there and comes with a ton of community connections. So we're thrilled to have her on board. And most recently, Point Reyes is now fully staffed due to a internal transfer from one person moving from one location to Point Reyes. But we do have still 2 vacant positions. One is the other half-time at Inverness, and a position that's a split position between Stinson Beach and Bolinas, and we're in the middle of the hiring process right now. That's ongoing. So, but kudos to my terrific team that I've adopted. They are really, really amazing and hardworking.
Thanks, Madeline. So in Marin City, we recently said goodbye to Isaiah Hurtado, who is incredible and super amazing and did so much for us and the community, and the community just really adored him. He left to accept a position with Oakland Public Library as a branch manager. So we were really happy to see him move upward in his career. Certainly the door is always open if he ever, wants to come back to us, because he's just extraordinary. So we're hoping to fill that position before the next academic school year, the next academic year. And then one of our library assistants recently finished his MLIS. So we expect that he will move on into a professional position at some point, as he is looking, and rightfully so. And we always want our folks to move onward and upward. So I'm really proud of my team and the work that they do, and I'm very blessed to work with them. So we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. And I failed to see, I failed to keep track of the time, so I'm not quite sure how much time we have for questions, but we're happy to answer any questions you might have. But you can always reach out to us anytime. We're happy to talk with you.
I have a question for Madeline. Thanks, by the way, for all of your input there. It was really interesting. Madeline, you mentioned that you had special events at the library in which parents would gather and community would gather, and you had an opportunity to ask if they had a message or a recommendation for the library. And I was just wondering if there was any consistent message or recommendation from the patrons that you interacted with or your staff interacted with.
That is a really good question, and I am I can only speak for myself. I haven't seen the compiled data yet. So I'm going to be honest there. I know that families overwhelmingly love the library. That is a general theme. No big surprise. And they want to see, more hours. That's always a common request. And one that we do hope to, honor. But yeah, I think opening up these spaces for them has really fulfilled some of what they were asking for, which is a place to gather, which is not something that is readily available in all communities, and the library really provides that place for them. So I can get you more detail though.
Thanks. It seems like some of that information would be great for Measure A, for giving talking points for Measure A proponents.
Yeah. I think that some of that information is I'm not sure, since I have not been to previous library commission meetings, but we had that recent survey, so I think some of that feedback is in the survey responses that we received, and we have put up discussion boards in the various branches, and some have been really, there've been a lot of participation in the communities, and some not so much. But when we had the learn and play events, I know that Alex and Alejandra got a lot of feedback from different community members. So, we have that as well.
Okay. Thanks.
I have a question about the Dominican Reading Buddies program. So is the tutor and the student are paired up? Do they go for just in a semester, or is that the entire year, or maybe it's a combination of both? How long does that relationship usually last?
They're structured in semesters, and at South Novato, I think all of ours have been new each time. But Madeline, I think some of your branches, you had some students who carried over.
Yeah, we had students and tutors carry over. So
I mean, we've had definitely have children carrying over, but the Dominican students were new.
Students,
the Dominican students were new.
We did. So actually, all of ours were returning. We had 3 tutors who returned. So they were, seasoned and experienced, and knew some of the younger students who were joining. So it provided a really nice consistency, but that is not always the case.
And you mentioned an increase in literacy skills. How do you measure that?
I think that was for Marin City. So we measure that with Smarty Ants. So Shayla Davis, who is our Smarty Ants program coordinator, embedded in the Smarty Ants app is our assessment tools, and that's how those are measured.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you. That was terrific. Very informative.
Great.
Thank you all so much. And just want to give kudos to Ramona too for her work in leading this grant, which is a big grant as well. And many people are involved in leading this grant, actually, like our accounting team and Learning Bus team, but it is tremendous effort to bring these spaces to the libraries as well as the programming, but it's been a terrific grant opportunity for MCFL, and like Madeline and the team described, just such a benefit to children and families, especially, as people return to our branches and feel comfortable there.
And can I want to thank John. He helped us. He did the handyman work of installing with some of we have these really cool mounted kind of like museum style children's play things. And he got those up for us.
Terrific. Thank you very much. That was great.
And kids use those a lot, John, a lot.
They haven't fallen off the wall yet, huh?
Still on the wall, and they get like the one with the Rubik's Cube. They're like just spinning that all. They'll do that for an hour.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's great. All right, Lana, we'll turn it over to you to your director's report.
Sure, I have a couple of things to mention. Next month, we are planning to return to in-person for the May meeting, yes, 2 p.m. at Point Reyes. So we've heard from many of you that we're looking forward to connecting with one another again. So this will be our first in-person attempt. And hopefully nothing will change in terms of, COVID outcomes and everything like that. But we are planning to be 2 p.m. In May at Point Reyes. And I really wanted to highlight a couple sections in the director's report this month. So one was the children's services section. We're talking about really looking at the impact of COVID and the virtual environment for kids in Marin and how that's impacted their learning outcomes, as well as the story time that we're doing in the Ukraine. And, this is the life-changing work that libraries do. We don't always really talk about it widely, but a team of children's librarians at MCFL have been offering a story to Ukrainian families and children for a number of weeks now, reaching anywhere from I think 100 to 150 participants. And again, just that connection with the outside world and that support and an effort to be normal and have something exciting out of the trauma of war is, I think, some of the most incredible work that libraries can do. So I encourage you to read a little bit more about that section. As Madeline mentioned, our community chats and community feedback continue. So we completed our community survey. We're offering community chats in the community from now until June. We have a space on our website. If you search for community chat, you'll find the page and it lists all of our events. We have a couple of events coming up at the end of this month for Dia de los Niños that are community chats, and I encourage all of you, if you want to join your local branch, if they're offering one, we have 3 coming up, to please look at the page and join and talk with the community about what's happening and what they want to see. Part of the reason that we're offering these chats is to, we know we can't reach everyone in an online survey. So we really wanted that in-person connection to see who we missed in our survey and what else we need to know, especially for, busy parents who may not have the chance to complete an online survey. So let's talk to them where they are and reach our local communities that way. And then I asked a question of library commissioners in my director's message, what is the feel of our branches when you walk through the door? What do you want them to feel like? What comes to mind in terms of describing the environment? We recently asked our library managers that same question. So I encourage all of you to send me an email with your thoughts. As we work on our 10 branch refresh with the architect Nolan Tam, we're looking at how our library environments feel and things like colors, do they remind you of the forest or the beach or, something soothing? So I really would love to hear from you about the environment you love about MCFL or want to see in the future. And then just a last reminder, I think we emailed you a link to a survey as we plan our meetings going forward for next year. So just please take a quick minute to complete that survey and then make sure we get it by next Wednesday. So I'm happy to answer any questions after a lot of information sharing with you.
Has that survey been sent to us?
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, Diana, are we going to get it out or?
Yeah, it will be sent out. If not today, it'll be tomorrow.
Okay, great.
I had a question about the in-person meeting in Point Reyes. What we've done in the past is tried, and I think this makes more sense even now, tried to carpool wherever possible. And I'm wondering if there's a way we can kind of organize that. Because I, for one, would love to carpool. So anyway, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I have an electric car.
So do I.
So
Well, there we go. I don't, so there we are.
I'd be happy to pick up people in San Rafael.
Yeah, I'd be happy to pick up people too. So we could try to figure that out.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I was also going to suggest, was anybody interested in going to lunch beforehand? It's just so long since we've all had a chance to socialize. If anybody wanted to, we could go out a little bit early and grab a bite before we go to the meeting. So I just throw that idea out.
There's a great restaurant that could accommodate quite a few people. I don't know how many choose to go, but it's Barefoot Cafe in Fairfax.
Oh, yeah, we could meet there, right? Yeah.
And they have espresso milkshakes.
Oh, that sounds good.
I've been drinking espresso martinis.
Oh, well,
But we could also meet at Station House, which is a great place right in Point Reyes.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
good.
we could do that too.
And we're there. Don't have to drive after espresso martini.
Or you can just forget the espresso martini and join a little program.
We won't put that in the notes, Nick.
Yeah. Strike that for the minutes. So why don't we try to coordinate? I'll work with Lana and Chantel, and we'll try to coordinate an email that'll go out regarding the carpooling and then who wants to go to lunch. So we'll try to get that out as we get a little bit closer to that meeting. But
what's the date of that meeting?
That meeting is May 9th. Is that correct?
May 11th.
May 11th. May 11th.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's coming right up.
It is coming right up.
Yeah, it's a month away.
Right.
That would be great.
I'm in San Anselmo, so that's helpful for people.
Okay. Well, we'll figure it out between now and then. I think it's just going to be nice to see each other because it's been a year. I mean, we were able to get to the meeting last year, the June meeting in person, and then we all went back into our respective Zoom screen again. So great. Okay. Well, I don't have any announcements for this evening. So is anybody else have any business they want to bring forward before we adjourn? Okay. Well, with that, then it is, what time is it? It is 5:01. We got done with this meeting in record time. So Nick can go have his martini.
I think he's already done that.
He may have. He might have started without us. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening?
I move that we adjourn the April meeting.
All right.
And I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing everybody next month. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.